I'm so tired from that. You know, I didn't walk over here.
I know you didn't, because it's dark.
But let me ask you a question. Yeah. What do you get out of...
That's all I get out of a lot of shit.
No, but there seems to be you put a little mustard on the hot dog sometimes. And I got to tell you that I'm stalling to take my thing off of my display and pretending to have a fight with you. But you're not falling for it, right?
Not yet.
Well, I don't think
I like to save my energy in case there's a real one.
Oh, I hate my fake. I think one of the things I learned when I was in Montreal, Canada, was that I think I have a fake laugh sometimes. I mean, it's another OCD thing, but I do absolutely indicate my approval of something with a laugh. It is a conscious decision.
Right.
And I don't like it one bit.
Well, it ingratiates you to a lot of people, though, I think. In the comedy world, you actually make a lot more friends by being the guy who laughs at people's jokes than the guy who doesn't.
Well, I don't mind. See, I don't mind the laughter because as I'm cackling, I'm enjoying myself.
And by the way, this is something you could say more at the end of talking to me for 2 hours. Now I'm really self-conscious that every time you laugh, it's just going to be something. Exactly, right there.
But you can tell when it's fake, though. Maybe you can't.
It's a blurry thing.
Ed McMahon, he'd be the guy to interview about that.
If only.
Or
we had gotten to him.
Or William B. Williams.
Who is William B. Williams?
He's on the Sammy Maudlin show, played by the actor.
Right.
Played by the actor. I was just being stupid. Well, that's why what we're famous for. How are you supposed to end the show? That's what we're opening it with.
Right. So welcome back. We have not spoken until now since your big speech in Montreal, which I've listened to and enjoyed.
Well, I'm very glad you listened to it, and I'm also very proud of myself with the message that I sent you because it wasn't defensive at all.
What message?
You said white instead of blank. No, this article said you said white. You didn't say take off all the English off of the tweet. Not the tweet, the text.
No, I realized what I was trying to imply is all I had seen is tweets about your speech at that point. I hadn't heard it, so all I had seen is that thing. So the only thing I could say is it all looked verbatim except for that one.
But wouldn't you I'm saying that I'm the type of person, as soon as I hear that, I automatically assume there's no way I didn't say white. You know what I mean?
Right.
I feel I blew it. And then, because I feel hey, I didn't get that good a reaction, but that's the way I feel about everything.
Right.
So, but then I wasn't willing to say, but I would say, hey, if I did say white, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I didn't mean to make you defensive.
You were not.
Okay, good.
You were not. I'm not.
And they actually changed it in the article since then, by the way.
Because of your email?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I gave that much of a shit.
I saw her in Montreal and said hi to her, and she dropped her phone. And I'm not saying I have a Beatles-like charisma that makes women drop their phone.
Right.
But I think I was trying to imply, and then I figured, why am I saying something like that? Me Too or no Me Too, I'm a creepy guy. Let's just get that out of the way. I'm always no. So anyway, I saw her, Katie.
Katla, it looks like, or Katia.
Yeah, and on the street. I thanked her.
K-T-L-A.
I thanked her very much. She was going. We were in the.
This is the person who wrote a breakdown of Andy's speech
on Vulture.
On Vulture, that's who we're talking about.
So it was. First of all.
So how? Yeah, let's start with.
First of all, right?
Okay.
How good was it? Why don't you ask me how good it was?
How good was it?
It went very well, although it was very scary. Like every year was scary, and this year I did not. Oh, but. I had a spiritual breakthrough, which should be one of the main things I talk about. I don't have to talk about it more than 30 seconds. And people, I texted to you when I had the breakthrough.
Right.
But I don't care if people respond to it. Why do I think they're listening now? Is that when you're crazy? Our listeners.
You just heard thousands of people lean into their phones.
Oh, God. Okay, it went out of my head.
Your breakthrough. That's what we're talking about.
Oh, okay, yeah. What happened was I very clearly saw that I had a choice. And the choice was to continue to yell at myself for being too late for the speech. It's already too late. And the only way you're going to do it, you idiot, this is the voice, is to start now. You haven't started now, have you? How could you be 4 days away from the speech and you're watching the Murdoch mysteries? Right? I decided that voice, which I've done a pretty good job of not listening to negative voices, but I have decided that the whole way of me thinking that people who really work for a living or who are legitimately doing things instead of fucking up, they put a certain amount of time into this, and I had convinced myself that this is one of those things that I should be working on all year. Get it pretty much spiffed up, and that last week, trim. So if that's what you're doing to yourself every single year, that's what I'm about every single year until Tuesday of this last week,
right?
Where I said I'm not going to do that anymore. There's no such thing as a Christian work ethic. I don't owe anybody. I know nobody a certain amount of time I've done for this speech. You know, right. It's like if they pay me $50,000 for the speech, I've still done enough time for it. It's like it's not about so it's not about the money. It's about me, this fictional like boss in my head who's going to say, you know,
hey, you're not. Hey, Kindler, get into my office,
right.
Mr. Kindler.
Now, sometimes I made you. You were the first person I made into that.
Well, I think last time we talked, that's when I totally said. I mean, that was my process this year. It was like, and we talked about it last time we were together. Was I am not imposing my organizational thing on you.
Yeah,
I'm going to send you jokes. I'm going to send you lots of jokes, and you can organize them how you want. But I could tell it had become now you're trying to please me instead of you.
Well, when you started to talk about blitzkriegs and how Hitler, no, but that's the thing was like, but that's what I think is a valuable lesson that I'm learning because, like, I told, well, Susan, I mean, Susan says don't drag her into anything. All right, that's her basic thing.
Yeah.
But the way I saw it was, you see, but in a very selfish way, I can go, oh, what is he trying to take over the speech? You know, oh, he's trying to. But what I really saw was that you could see that when I was in this mode, for whatever reason I'm in the mode, it's really hard to even get me to listen to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Literally to listen.
No, it is.
And then I think that makes you think, this is not, you know, if he's really going to skim the entire life, you know, it may not be worth writing these things. You know, it's like you didn't want to spin your own wheels or however you were feeling in the moment. Right. That's what it was coming from.
Yeah, well, it was coming from, it's pointless to try to teach you how to collaborate.
On top of me already not doing anything?
Yeah, well, but not even that. I don't mean it that negatively even. I just mean now's not the time to teach him a whole new thing.
Well,
now's the time to feed your friend jokes, you know?
That is the reason why I wouldn't say you're the mature one in the relationship. Yeah, you're the mature one in the relationship. I'm not immature. But I'm not fully chore. Huh?
Yeah,
I'm Mercury George Carlin with that, right? I'm not mature. I'm chore. I'm not mature. That's too much like my mother. I'm mature. Anything? Is there anything here? No? Not even as an homage to George Carlin?
Maybe in the Adomian impression of Kindler. You can use that.
The Adomian impression, which I always will say, is the impression that completely should stop me from doing comedy.
It really should. But, yeah. Because
he literally does exactly what I do. He's, in other words, like you figured out the code, and that's it. Right. There's nothing, oh yeah, but he's missing Andy's.
It's only 1 degree off.
Yeah, he's missing the other level of Andy. No, he's got me. It's Western, Eastern.
But, yeah, you know, but going back to what we were talking about, so yeah, you know, like I said, I didn't want to try to teach you.
No. Yeah.
It wasn't the time for that. So.
Well, the thing about it is this. I'm a healthy person I was because it's so easy for me to get upset. But then I used to realize that I was in defense of me saying, you blew it again to yourself. You know what I mean? I'd be so quickly getting defensive with other people that I would paint them, it's like, they're not going to ever, I can't. You know, I was so quickly would exit out of anything and go back to my defensive corner.
Right.
And so the fact that I can just like have a thing on a Friday. Like that morning, I felt terrible. Even if we hadn't met, even if we hadn't had breakfast that morning, I still would have been completely scattered in my mind, And then as I sat up so what happened was when I made the decision to say, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to torture myself anymore.
Right.
I stopped torturing myself.
Yeah, I talked to you on the phone that day.
Yeah.
You were backstage somewhere.
Yeah, I think it was the Monday or Tuesday.
And you sounded fairly calm.
For the whole rest of the week, whenever I would start to get scared or panicked, I would convince myself that I'm only getting scared or panicked because I have created this fake person that I'm supposed to be.
Right.
But it's like inheriting both sides of it.
But I think that's the thing. I don't think the panicky voice ever goes away. What comes on board is the skill to talk that voice down within yourself.
Yeah, that's all it really is.
And that's all it is. I don't think the panicky voice ever goes away. You know? And I have those dialogues in my head all the time because I have all these fucked up voices telling me all sorts of fucked up things. In fact, I've had a bad week from it. But you have to have the dialogue in your head, and if you don't have both voices there, then you're going to listen to the really loud one.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way because I think of it as like the thing I figured out in therapy, which I think we talked about before, is that there's always a me there's I'm the MC of whatever I'm going through. There's this person out here going, "What are you doing? And how'd you do? And now you're doing this." Right. So that person,
you have to answer that person is the thing.
Yeah. So, but I don't. But the worst part is when you don't. The worst part is when you don't realize that it's a voice. Even that's the thing that I'm not disappointed in myself because I know that's a whole other thing I get into. But I wish I had maybe 20 years ago realized about therapy. Right. But it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just a really deep, for me, a deep realization. I'm not teaching a workshop. If I can make some money on it, I will.
So be it.
But I'm not going to go Tony Robbins. But maybe like a Tony Robbins who feels somewhat confident.
Right.
So the only bad thing happened was, this wasn't bad, but it was me being an idiot. And Susan said something very interesting about it. About 3:00. So I'm still doing this thing where I'm running what I would like to say uncomfortably behind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like I'm a new person now, perfect. Now I got it. I've really nailed it down. No. Probably I will have many, many hours of more writing in my life simply by not yelling at myself of, spending the time yelling at myself. So I'm sure things will get better, but there's things about this, like all the stuff that I'm going through, like how do I get here at 9:00? Well, I didn't. I got here at 9:06. I mean, there's all these things I'm not cured, but I do hope to be more cured down the road. So, but it was still like 2:00 and I had all these drafts. Not as bad as usually. I had a Gervais file. I had a Louis C.K. file. But in the other years, I would be like, I would lose your entire file. Right? But I had combined our jokes.
That's why I tried to get you to make the master list and keep the master list.
Yes, the master list. See that all that huzzerai with this, that. I made a master list. I knew I had to do something.
Yeah.
And so, that was a good thing. And so I was able to pull from those jokes, but I was still running late. And then, I was going to, send it down to the front desk as an attachment and they would print it out for me.
Right.
And then the ball started going like this. It was too much happening. So I started going, God damn it. And Susan's going, we stop that. God, I'm an idiot. Just shut up. And then I had water on my hands. I was like throwing all over the keyboard. I was shaving. She's going, you're ruining she really had to take it. Now, she didn't slap me.
Yeah.
But she gave me the equivalent of slapping me. Right. And later she said to me that she thinks I know it's not real in a way. Like I'm doing it as a thing. And I think she's kind of right about that. I don't exactly understand it. In other words, It's not like I go, no, I'm screaming.
No, you just have to throw this last bit of self-sabotage in your way.
Exactly. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, really weird, but she was so nice though, too. I mean, she didn't she just got, slapped me around verbally.
Right.
Took over the job.
Right.
Because that's the other thing I do is go, she goes, do you want me to help you? There's no possible way. There's no possible way anyone, I am so brilliant. I'm so far ahead in my theory. There's no way anybody can jump in But she thinks more rationally than me and also logically, so.
Which is a damn good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you were late for the speech, is what you're saying?
No, because now here's the other thing. Everything, if you take away judgment from if you take away judgment, like if you take away go, Andy Kindler, all right, Andy Kindler was running late for the speech, he loses. World 1, Andy Kindler 0. If you take away that aspect of it, or you don't go the other way, I am Andy Kindler. When I get there, that's when time starts.
Right.
So if you stay out of either one of those ways, I forgot what I was going to say.
I don't know. You started making a fucking diagram here on the table, and I pretty much went, all right.
Well, I knew you weren't into it. If you take away the judgment, you can just see what the behavior is without hating yourself. I don't know how I could forget that so quickly. So, yes, I can now say I was being an idiot.
Right.
But there used to be a part of me that says being an idiot is simply not acceptable. Like what she's saying, like, I kind of think you knew what you were doing.
Right.
5 years ago, I'd be like, I'm real. It's like, I am real every moment of my life. There's no way that I couldn't. So it's like.
So the goal is the voice that goes, hey, stop being an idiot.
That's good.
Yourself.
That's the goal. And to not freak out at any point. I don't know why I felt like I had to freak out.
Right.
I don't think I had to freak out, but if anything was going to go wrong, now I look back at it, that's what it triggered it. If it shot out of my computer, the pages, and then.
But you would set yourself up for that by making it the last minute.
Oh, no question. I slept from.
Leaving no margin for error, the error becomes
awful. It's an awful thing. It's an awful thing in many ways.
Yeah. So you did, okay. So.
All right. Now, once again,
but less of a meltdown than last year. Substantially.
Nothing like last year. Yeah. Nothing, really. And then by the time I got down to the room, I was complete. Oh, but the other thing is, I was going to say, I'm sorry, I'm rustling a paper because I wanted to find the first paper. Maybe I did find it. But it was a couple of years where they did not understand. They were confused on how they wanted to present my speech and this award ceremony.
Right.
So it used to be that my speech was before the award ceremony. And they used to tell me, can you do 35? This is an exaggeration, but anyway, you can do 38 minutes, or you have to get up by 5 o'clock, even if you haven't started yet. Whatever the thing was, I was nervous. It was nervous. It was a big thing for years. Then they put the award show before my speech.
Uh-huh.
They said, look, his speech that he's been doing for 23 years, maybe there's a reason he's been doing it this long and it hasn't taken off. So they put the award ceremony before my speech, and now my speech usually, for the second year in a row, starts late. That's another reason why I think I freaked myself out in the room, because it was getting near 3:30, 3:45.
Yeah.
Then it was like 4, but the speech wasn't supposed to start till 4:45. And if I really had been thinking logically, I would have said they're not running. At most, they're not running early.
Right. But if you would have pushed yourself up to the next, if you would have thought, oh, they're running late, you would have been like the same proportionate amount.
Well, there are so many things to get upset about, and that you could probably hear, not really to get upset about, but things that I am. Let me tell you something about the people who do Canadian sound, and when they're from Quebec and their primary language is French.
Right.
I think they decided a long time ago, whatever that person's saying, just don't listen to. We don't know whatever it is. They've never ever answered me.
Right.
And I'm not saying that they're mean about it, but I kept saying it sounds like someone's vacuuming behind my head.
Yeah.
I hear a vacuuming. So here, as everyone's left the room and they're packing up and everything, the head of the sound, he goes, "Oh, by the way, we found out you were right.
Someone was vacuuming? There
was a sound like, no, I don't know if they were vacuuming. He goes, there was a sound like that fan right behind you."
Mm.
So I'm not saying I got upset about that, but that's the way it's always going to be.
Well, I mean, you hear on the recording, you don't hear the sound, but you hear the how shitty the sound guy is. Who is that? A board recording that plays on?
Yes. There's no microphone for the.
There's no audience mic and there's no windscreen for Kindler, which is a huge mistake.
It's even worse than that. It's the style of mic.
No, I see it in the
pictures. Style of mic is ridiculous. Mic, yeah. And so Bruce says to me, Doug Benson, when my manager says, whenever Doug Benson comes up here, he's as soon as I start, he just insists, give me a wired microphone. All I want is a wired microphone.
Right.
So that even makes more sense because it's going to sound better.
Right.
So this has been going on for, I think, this is how slow I am in terms of changing things because of my own self-involvement. This has been going on for 6 or 7, maybe 10 to 12 years. They have last year they were 2 mics angling towards the middle.
Right.
And there's no monitor. There's no monitor. A comic has to hear themselves. Otherwise, they don't. Otherwise, they are going to pop the thing.
Right.
So, was there a lot of popping?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of popping, and there was no audience response.
Right.
We can't allow that to happen.
There's absolutely no sense of how many people are in that room. How many people would you say are there?
God damn it. I mean, I want to say a couple of hundred people.
Yeah.
But there was one completely open. But that's another thing, too. I think
you referred to the open section more than once. Yes.
Well, I think the size of the room. I mean, what do they? Here's what I think they're trying to do to me, and they're not doing it on purpose. But why not?
Are they gaslighting you, Andy?
Not gaslighting me like Emily Nussbaum, but what they're doing to me is they want that event earlier that used to be after me, that's now before me.
Yeah.
They want that event to be like the circus or some big, big event.
Right.
The Just for Laugh Comedy Awards.
Right.
And so I think that I have, they don't really care what happens to me afterwards, but it would be nice to either have a curtain that came down or something. But when you walk out, I walked out of the part of the room where the empty section was.
Yeah.
So when you have I don't care if you had 50,000 people and you had 25,000 empty chairs, you would still go, oh my God, it looks like it's only 2/3 full.
All right.
Maybe that was too far for. I don't know what I expected at the end of that. A laugh. But anyway, here's the thing that people should remember. Did I say that
I was fine at about 200. So.
Did I say hover around?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay, here's the jokes I didn't say in the act. I didn't say, and which I wrote down for next year. I didn't say.
Well, then shh.
Oh, maybe we should just stop it? Okay, make it that. Yeah. Okay, that one, and I didn't get to talk about poop talk, which is fine.
That's right.
And then I didn't lose page 9, which was very disappointing to me because either I lost page 8 or the bit wasn't going as I planned.
I should say here, in case anyone is interested, and hopefully you are, or this whole episode is really going by the wayside.
Yeah, but could you come up with a reason for that on every episode?
Go to vulture.com and the Andy speech is search for Andy, and his speech, the audio of his speech is there.
Yeah. The audio is there, and there's no mic on the audience, and I'm struggling with it. But that doesn't matter. Why do I keep harping on that? Why stop bringing it up?
Well, at this point, you're into fool me 23 times, shame on you.
No. Clearly, yes. It's my fault. Yes. My manager has a client who already uses it on a different mic.
Right, exactly.
We have the same. Manager.
Why can't Bruce just put this down on his notepad for next year? But why get Andy a mic and a monitor? It's 2 things.
But I've had that. We have had that discussion before.
Yeah.
So. But
I'll remind you next year.
But one of the things is I don't go down for a sound check because I can't leave writing the speech 3 hours before.
Right. So you could.
I could if I was writing properly.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying I agree with who I am or how I feel about myself or how much happiness I've been allowed to have. I'm just saying there's blue skies ahead.
I'm just saying it's a 10-minute mic check.
Oh my God! You're like a Jewish. You're like having a Jewish uncle who lives in your. Where would be a funny part to live?
I'm like having a Jewish uncle who does a shit ton of writing for you for no money.
Okay, so that's the thing.
Credit.
Okay, now let's bring that up. Now, they constantly. This is how many years have you been contributing to the speech? And when I say contributing, I say it that way so that I still sound like the number one guy.
Yeah. Okay. This is just 2 years that I've really dug in and actually.
But the first year when I ruined one of your jokes, though, right?
No, the first year it was just something you said that I didn't give to you as something for the speech. It was just something I said in the car, and you laughed, and then you put it in your act, and then it didn't work, and then you blamed me.
Josh. Fortunately, I have tapes of all of our interactions, and I'm going to prove to you that your story that you're telling on this podcast about you is like so off.
No, it's dead on.
Okay, so let's.
But last year and this year were the 2 years that I actually co-wrote the speech.
And for those of you, my feeling is, and I really do believe this, if you're hopping onto this show now, shame on you.
I don't even know how it happened, honestly.
What, the getting involved in the speech?
I knew last year it was like you were in shit panic mode.
Well, I've been like that, but I've been that way every...
Right, but you didn't see me every week back before that.
Right, but you know what it was? I would say, like, there's been times over the years where I've used my friends and things like that, but I think it's the fact that we... Well, I don't know how it started exactly, but it wasn't going to be for... Is that my agent or something?
No, you can't get arrested.
I can't get arrested in this town. What was I saying? I don't remember. You want... It's not like you... wasn't a... Obviously, goes without saying, it was never you saying, Andy, I could help you with this for the right price. Okay, that has nothing to do with it.
All right.
Or maybe it did for you, and you're going to give me the old schmadinky now and try and cut into the money.
Right, that's how I operate.
So, then the other thing is that you write perfect jokes, and you also write perfect jokes in my voice.
Right.
Right. So, what are we going to do now?
I don't know. A big thank you would be nice.
You mean like on the podcast even?
Just any kind of really genuine, sincere thank you for giving you all the help.
Have I not ever done that?
Not so much, no. Not this year.
That's really right. I guess well, thank you. First of all, thank you.
You're welcome.
For contributing, not just contributing to the speech, for guiding me through the speech.
You're welcome.
In many ways. You also derailed me from doing things like, that seems like desk pieces.
Yes.
You made me question my path. Sometimes I went back and double back and went back and did it anyway.
Sure.
But
which is how it should be, by the way.
No, but the thing is,
you should be the final arbiter of what you say in your speech.
Right. I think I feel embarrassed about that. I feel like I'm not embarrassed about it. I'm excited about it, but I'm embarrassed that I haven't. Should I at the end of the speech say your name? I mean, what do you think should be done? I really don't know.
I don't know either, honestly. I know that it felt highly unsatisfying to keep seeing my jokes flying by on Twitter, going, "Way to go, Andy! Way to go!"
Okay, well,
with my joke.
Yeah, I do too.
And so it feels like there's no payoff then. For me,
I think you're right,
and I would love to be the guy who's fine with that. Like,
no, I don't want you to be. But that's silly though,
but then I go, but my ego and my careerist head goes, no, that's exactly the place where you want people to hear that you wrote some of those jokes.
See, yeah. Well, here's the thing: is that,
but I also didn't go into it. I also think on a class level, no, it's Andy Kindler's State of the Industry address. You shouldn't attach another name to it. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing. If you said to me tomorrow, it has to be called next year, Andy Kindler's State of the Industry address based on a novel by Push, based on a novel Push by Josh, then I might go, that could be, that would be too much an ask.
That's a little cumbersome.
Yeah. It's a little cumbersome. But here's the thing. The idea of people knowing that you wrote these jokes.
Last year you thanked me at the end.
Oh. I think that's wrong. I mean, I feel bad now. But I also felt like I was thinking that like we never...
I didn't want you to feel bad, but I didn't want to act like I didn't actually notice either. Because that would be disingenuous.
Well, okay, so... I I think I have to. So let's say this. I think I should acknowledge it in the speech. Always.
Just I think at the end. At the very end. Just
Because
I think that would now having seen it both ways. I didn't like not being acknowledged after doing all that.
And here's the other thing, though. But that's still not enough.
Like if I throw you a couple jokes, that's a different thing. But like I worked hard on this speech this year.
It's not even that. I don't think.
No, I'm just feeling. I'm like.
No. But I'm
backpedaling now because I feel small bringing it up.
No, you do not. You shouldn't feel small. And I didn't. I'm trying to find something. I think I found something I wrote that was cited. But here's the thing. I think it has to be two things. I think that it has to be. Not that you're even asking me for this, but it's like. I still don't promote this is a separate thing, but I still don't promote the, podcast as much as I should. And with the podcast, there used to be, I just don't think about it, but it's like, so that's one thing. And then the other thing is that, what this thing, like this relationship we had, we wouldn't be doing the podcast if we didn't have this relationship that we both, we've collaborated many times. We collaborated on Kids Court. We've collaborated. You edited down. So it's like this isn't a relationship that it's not like Lennon and McCartney.
Right.
I don't know why I said that. I'm not saying it's like Gilbert and Sullivan.
Right.
No, but I'm saying that. So this is something that should be known about. But also, I think I should thank you at the end of the speech. But I also think I should go on Twitter and say these jokes were all written.
No, you shouldn't do that. I mean, we can do it here on the podcast, but I don't think you need to.
Okay.
I don't think it's. I absolutely don't.
But
if someone really funny goes, "Hey, I like this joke and it's one of mine," tell them it was one of mine.
Yeah.
That's all I ask.
But when I was retweeting
like in private.
Things, okay.
Not on Twitter.
See, I was thinking I should retweet these things, but then that's the thing that goes the other way.
No, I don't want. No, I don't want it to be a drag that I'm helping you either.
Well, it's not. It's never a drag. It's how It's like for some reason I got in my mind, I'm going to start calling Josh J. Elvis, and I'm going to play that up or something, or not play that up. I get the wrong message. I feel like. Luckily, it's not one of those days where you could turn me in and they could put me away. Right. But there's a part of it that's slightly nutty in a.
Really?
It is. It's kind of nutty in a way. So, you go, can you, say J. Elvis is how you want to be referred to or whatever on a piece of paper or whatever the hell, and I hear that that I've never called you Josh before. Something stupid. I take it. To the limit and more. I don't know if that's an Eagles thing or a general thing. Well, I'm sorry about that.
Well, like I said, I wasn't trying to guilt you, but I did want to. Like I said, it would be disingenuous for me to go. Didn't notice.
Right. Right. You know what's really sad about it to me is it's not like I have a lot of people to thank at the end of the speech. I have nobody but you to thank at the end of the speech, because I'm not gonna, Susan doesn't want me to thank her.
Right. Well, and see, I feel like a douche even mentioning it.
No,
too. Honestly,
it's not fair. It's not fair because I think it's not. I don't even like. See, I don't want to not. Here's what I'm saying. I want to collaborate and have you do that, and I don't want to.
No, I think I understand what you're saying about you and I working together, meaning that you're fine with our collaboration being a public face.
Yeah, being a known thing.
Like the two of us together being an entity as well.
But like the first year, I blamed you with the joke.
Right, but that was just one joke. Where it just came out of nowhere. Where you did it.
Was Josh Weinstein had that joke.
That's exactly, it was that.
Right. So I think that... Here's what I'll say that I can, I don't want to turn everything into a Mr. Rogers moment like Emily Nussbaum does, but I think what happens is that I have so much anxiety about so many things that there must have been a little, I must have said to myself, what should I do about, should I say thank you? And I should have just talked about it.
Right.
I mean, I should have talked about it previously, because... that's how these things do happen, is that there's a part of me that's like, everyone of course knows that Josh and I are working on this all of July and August, right? June and July. No, they don't know that.
People on the podcast know.
And that is a limited audience.
A very small slice of humanity.
Part of me goes, say it on the podcast, but then it's like dropping a thing in the ocean. Right? It's a drop of sand.
Right.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to do, I don't know if you're into this, is it won't take any time, but just to go over, and here's the thing I want to say. Here's the problem, I think, with the speech. The problem is, it's not a problem, it's inherent. If I'm reading off of a thing, they get stiff a little bit if I'm holding the paper up there.
Right.
Or, okay, so that would argue for a teleprompter.
Or a big font.
Or a big font. But the other thing is, get rid of that podium. Give me a mic.
Right.
But then I was telling people like, will it look weird me holding a piece of paper? The podium idea originally was like, was because there was an address.
Right.
But if I don't want to have a bad microphone again.
Right.
So anyway, what's inherent is
go to cards, maybe.
Maybe go to cards. Bingo. And if I was even able to not go do a couple of things like we did, a live show.
Yeah.
I would get more comfortable with the stuff.
Right.
So I'm not endorsing the way I work.
I thought you did a good job of reading the joke for real. Giving the joke a read that gave it a shot. You weren't divorcing yourself from the joke because you were reading it. You know what I mean?
I'd say that's about 80%. I think about 80% true. Like 20% got stuck in my throat.
Sure.
Even my own stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely.
It's just by the thing. So,
but you can't escape the fact that it's like an hour. You're doing an hour of shit, much of which has never been on its feet.
Well, let me say this.
So it's a pretty impressive feat.
Yeah.
And it seems like people responded like it's a pretty impressive feat.
This is the best response I've ever gotten in my life. So the thing I wanted to say was like, for some reason, I really do feel bad about the whole, what we were talking about before. I feel bad about it. And I think like that's like a thing that I do to myself. And, what Roger Federer says, I'm going to be upset about it. I allow myself to be upset about it for a certain amount of time.
Right.
And then I go on. Okay. So putting that aside and that shouldn't be anything you feel bad.
I feel bad about it. I don't feel bad.
I think it's right what
I feel bad maybe injecting it into the podcast.
No, because I'm glad you did, because we don't talk otherwise.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
I said to you, and this is a typical thing, I'll call you later that night. I'm not calling anybody later that night.
Right.
And I haven't made a call in 4 years. No, seriously. I think except for calling you, I very rarely am on the phone.
Yeah.
So, but I'm happy to lie. So anyway, what it is that there's a certain part of me that isn't sure, not that it doesn't make me sell them weaker, but I go, I know this is funny. Will it sell as a written joke? So like the torch in the water sold,
right?
So I probably could have even made it more, but it was like, sometimes I think, are they gonna, because I've written so many jokes. Okay. They didn't seem to get the Hollywood Reporter thing.
No.
But Merrick Garland, that was yours.
Let's go through the rather than going through the whole speech, so because people haven't heard it, and if we just do short, if we do shorthand of each joke, people aren't going to know what the fuck we're talking about.
Everything I do is wrong. Everything I touch turns to Jew.
But this way, at least, it won't touch everything, but at least it'll be a place to jump off from. So this is the article in Splitsider, in Vulture, rather. I'm sorry.
Written by
Caitlin McGlynn.
Yeah, Caitlin, thank you very much.
I think it's
Caitlin, I'm so bad with everything. Sorry I made you drop your phone, but you really did a great job, and I really appreciate it, because I don't think you can quote those. The things that you quote, it means the things that you liked. It's
right.
like, it didn't quote me going, Joe Coy's the, you know what I'm saying? Some jokes were easier than others, but.
All right. So Andy Kindler delivered his 23rd annual State of the Industry address at Montreal's Just for Laughs Festival on Friday, bringing his tradition of roasting the biggest names in comedy, parenthetically, as well as himself, back for another round of schadenfreude and inside jokes.
It's the first time I've listened to it where I've heard it.
Kindler took the stage a few minutes after Tiffany Haddish accepted the Comedy Person of the Year award on the same stage in a sparkly red evening gown. Quite the contrast to Kindler hunching over the podium declaring, "Why am I leaning over like an old Jew? Because I finally am an old Jew." Canadian comedian Deanne Smith gave opening remarks, mostly to roast the comedian she looks up to. Netflix is releasing 47 specials on the same day, and they still won't give one to Andy. and to note that she makes up a comedy babushka doll with Hannah Gadsby, Carmen Esposito, and Moshe Kasher.
That's very funny.
Kindler's speech covered a lot of ground, from the fall of Louis C.K., Gadsby's Netflix special Nanette, CNN's history of comedy series, and Chris Hardwick returning to TV. Of course, he stopped periodically to complain about an empty section of seats in the room and what sounded like someone vacuuming repeatedly outside. After 2 decades of doing this address, he also joked that some people thought he should pass the torch, but, quote, nobody wants this torch.
That's you, baby.
That's my joke, yeah. Kindler roasting himself is as much a part of the tradition as his roasting of the industry, and the room full of comedian and industry types get in on it, too. At one point, Kindler spotted Mark Maron in the back door and asked what he was doing. I was just telling people it's all filled up in here, Maron quipped.
It still makes me laugh.
Although there was a sense of defeat in this year's address, considering what's going on politically back at home, what's the point in making a speech about how I don't like Jimmy Fallon's sketches if the entire world can be blown up at any minute by Trump? That wasn't that strong a Kindler.
I thought you had gone crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It was more like that was like doing like Matthew Broderick doing.
Maybe my voice is so unremarkable.
Maybe it is. Kindler asked, well, okay, check out highlights from what he covered below. Now, each of these little sections has a headline joke. This headline is, Chris Hardwick got his show back. Points. That was yours.
That was mine.
But I texted you that it had happened that night before.
I didn't even know. Was that the night before the speech? I think so. I had not even known, or 2 nights.
Days, yeah. And then the next quote in this section is, when I first heard people were upset with Chris Hardwick, I thought it had to be his act. Kindler said of the Talking Dead host, who was alleged by his girlfriend Chloe Dykstra of abuse. Now we can all go back to tolerating Chris Hardwick like this never happened, which was mine.
That was yours.
Yeah.
That was yours.
One I saw quoted a lot.
Yes. And I'm glad that's out there, because it's like, what am I hiding from that guy?
Right.
That was
this is a double-edged sword, by the way, for me, of taking credit for jokes.
Now right.
I'm implicated in this self-sabotage conspiracy as well.
Well, the thing I realized about it, though, the other spiritual part of it was that I realized this is if I want to be petty and I want to get into arguments, this is the thing where I should do it once a year in this fucking speech.
Absolutely.
Not with every robot every 10 minutes.
You have an actual.
This means like,
you have a podium.
I'm going to say this about Emily Nussbaum, and right in a place where they're listening to me.
You are invited.
And they like what I have to say.
Be shrill.
Right.
Yes, once a year.
So that was a big realization.
Too.
So like I can say things like, Joe Coy was the best stand-up of the year. I'm just asking.
Right.
Was it based on gross receipts? You can be kind of pettier.
You can. It's a roast. People see it as you roasting everybody.
And I feel bad because I'm getting better and didn't spend the whole year literally. I mean, when in the middle of the whole Twitter thing, I just felt like I was in an argument every minute of every day with everybody.
Yeah, you were last year. That's when we started doing this podcast.
Yeah, and worse the year before.
Yeah.
Yeah, where I ended up.
Well, mazel tov on getting better.
Thank you.
This next headline, Kevin James got canceled, but not before he changed the game by rebooting just his wife. That's how it should work. Instead of the whole thing, let's mix and match. I'd watch Laverne and Hutch. Welcome back, Kramer. Everybody loves Raymond's hilarious friend, Andy.
Now that
was all me.
That's all you, beginning to end.
But it sounded a lot like you.
It sounded like me. And that's where our sense of humor just crosses over. We
it's
both
also I've been writing for other people for 30 years.
That's true. I go, you know what? It's so weird. I mean,
that's part of the fun for me is trying to write in your voice.
Right, but
it's not just we have the same sense of humor here.
No, but the thing is like that's true. But that voice is, I think, a collective voice of comedy. Yes. I'm not saying it's just mine,
right.
But the crazy word and the regular word.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we always enjoy that kind of thing. Although, if you notice, I didn't add any more to it. And I also was able to say, okay, that's a minute now. There's another part of me was always like, and I've got to add to anything Josh gives me.
No.
I'm a screwed up person. But lovable.
Very lovable.
Hey, you know what? I get in my own way sometimes, Josh.
Huh. We'll have to analyze that sometime on the show.
That was uncalled for. You sent me an email this week.
Did I?
Yeah, saying, if I do that sleeping thing one more time, you're going to take the computer and shove it up my thought balloon.
Nope, didn't say that. I said if you do that sleeping thing one more time, I'm going to...
Don't you think I like to shove that up your thought balloon could be used later down the line?
Yes, I think it could.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're an expert.
Do you want to continue with this?
Yes.
Okay.
But
I wasn't saying it.
Are you going to take out the other?
I wasn't scolding you.
No, and you can take out the other part of me haltingly doing it, or leave it in.
Maybe CNN should worry less about the history of comedy and more about not being the source of comedy, which was my joke. But the rest of this is all you, the rest of this section. Kindler came back to CNN's History of Comedy series a few times throughout the speech with gripes about their arbitrary categorization of comedy. Skits and shticks, funny dioramas and whoopee cushions, he joked.
And then I did do a little bit, and I'm not saying it's classic Kindler. I'd say it's rare Kindler where I can ad-lib in the moment.
You absolutely did.
Yeah.
I thought your final ad-libs were the best of the bunch.
And if I only could just be in that moment all the time.
Well, we all want that.
And nobody can be.
We all want to
nobody
be in
can
that
be.
pocket all the time of just coming up with funny news.
And
stuff.
if you try and do it though, it
fucked.
just comes out.
Yeah.
Like you've worked too long on a joke.
But yeah, no, that was classic. He keeps talking till
something
it's
happens.
funny, or until it's funny that he's still talking.
Skitchels and pellets.
Right. On a meta note, he said, how did they convince comics to go on explaining comedy? I'm surprised they would do it.
Now, that was a thing, like, I remember, like, that came to I was like, part of me was like saying, I wouldn't say that because it's just describing it.
Right.
But then I just felt like I really could kind of convey that thing of like, wow, so comics really, they're cool with just going on and on and on about why it's funny and how it was funny. And they wanted to do that? That's surprising to me.
You didn't go that far with it in the speech.
Right.
But
I know. I thought more about it after the speech.
This next headline joke. Jeremy Piven is back doing stand-up. Well, I'm not sure if he's back doing stand-up or if he just alienated a whole improv troupe.
That's you.
That's me.
But I didn't do. Did I do the line about likability?
You did.
Oh, but okay. Yeah.
And then under it, it's maybe stand-up was all that came up in his jobs with no coworkers search.
Now that was hard for me because that was in the joke that you have to read that joke and you have to get the joke.
It hit. Though.
Yeah.
It
so
worked.
I finally got it.
I appreciate that you gave it a read. Kindler said, a Piven who is also accused of sexual mischief, in his words. I certainly hope this doesn't affect his likability. This next section, all you, people who listen to podcasts, love to have food delivered to their house uncooked in a box. Kindler got a big laugh when touching on the repetitiveness of comedy podcast advertising from companies like Blue Apron, MailChimp, and Squarespace. They hate the post office. It makes them sick. And they love their websites clean. Clean websites. They like them square and clean.
They hate the post office. Now, that's the thing, too, that I did not... Here's what I wanted to say to you, that you could never figure out the speech in a way, because I did not think that would get one laugh. I thought that was just like a regular joke. And it got a laugh.
I thought that would get a laugh. The podcast stuff always gets a laugh.
So maybe I should just listen to you. Really.
No, I don't think we talked about it. But I knew you were going to do that, and I assumed, well, that stuff always works. But I don't think it's funny, but the world clearly thinks it's funny.
But when you said to me that you laughed at ha ha ha, I made sure to sell that.
Yes.
Yeah, I may have forgotten that completely, or not completely, but I don't know.
And it worked really well.
Oh God, I was thinking about that. I was logging on.
Next session. Roseanne said she was fired because she voted for Trump, and that's not allowed in Hollywood. I wish Hollywood had a rule that good. It took 120 years to get to you can't grope people.
That could have been delivered better. I absolutely believe that, because I
could have delivered it better there too.
That was fine, but I thought I was I was actually excited about it. So it's like I psyched myself out.
Touching on. I thought it might be an applause line.
Because
almost.
It took him 120 years to come up with a "you can't grope." I mean, it's like that's argues for me. Maybe putting a little more time earlier into the speech.
Touching on Roseanne's reboot falling apart after her racist tweet, Kindler thought ahead to what the future holds for her. What is Roseanne going to do now? Maybe she can get a job as a judge on America's Got Racists. Maybe she can get a seat on the new Match Game. I thought the bitch was blank. When the bit didn't get a huge laugh, Kindler put it back to the audience. No wonder why Trump took over. You people are sheep.
Yeah, you can't go wrong blaming them and throwing Trump in there.
That was a blend. You had America's Got Racist. I thought the bitch was blank.
Yeah, I didn't even run America's Got Racist by you because I neither thought it was that great a joke, nor did I think it wouldn't work. It has a nice ring to it.
You were right and wrong.
America's Got Racist.
Yeah, I think.
Has a nice ring.
It's Kindler-esque.
People think, but you would say, I'm not that thing like an idiot savant. I don't even know if that's the politically. But you tell people I know what I'm doing occasionally. Tell them the truth.
You do know what you're doing. I just told you about the...
I know, I'm just kidding.
About the ad-lib run that you did so...
I just think it's sad for someone who want their friend... Tell them I know what's happening, Josh, please.
Well, I think...
Corpus mentis.
Yes. Louis C.K. isn't even the funniest comic in New York City. Dave Attell is 40 times funnier than Louis C.K. sleeping.
That one, it sounded like that felt good in the room.
I think there was such conviction in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
people like Dave Attell a lot, which helps.
Yes. But it really kind of also conveyed to me what was like the part of that Emily Nussbaum of like singing his praise. First of all, actually typing a line that she knows she absolutely has no idea is true. He's the funniest stand-up in the country.
Right.
The TV reviewer for the New Yorker is not. I would bet all of my money that she does not know most of the stand-ups in the country.
Yeah. Well, I have to say that section was long.
Why do you say it after I say something?
Because you stopped talking, so I had a chance.
Oh, no. I can only tell you this. It would have been longer if Susan hadn't told me to cut it down, way down.
Wow.
And that's another thing of that's another thing of not allowing enough. Here's a difficult thing again. I have to not yell at myself while I'm going down the road towards the end. But then that doesn't mean that after it's all over, I can't cheer up myself and say, hey, next year, fuckface. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Start a little earlier. It's not as hard as you're making it.
Right.
So that's kind of the lesson. And that's what happened with that one. Because I left out other stuff that I absolutely wanted to do because I started agonizing about where page 9 was.
All right.
Yeah. So I agree with you.
Although he prefaced it by saying his past material on critics doesn't go over well and makes him look petty, Kindler spent several minutes on New Yorker editor Emily Nussbaum's writing. I wasn't going to talk about her. I was just going to do what I always do, hold a grudge for the rest of my life. His gripes include a review of Drunk History, which she called Weird Al Yankovic's semi-familiar. There isn't a person on earth who doesn't know Eat It. Her, I don't know what voice I'm doing. Her flowery language.
I think Weird Al now.
Yes. Her flowery language. Someone got a master's in poetry from New York University and she can't let it go.
That was my meanest thing I said all night because I got that from her resume.
And especially her referring to Louis C.K. as the country's best stand-up before his abuse allegations were made public in November. That's not criticism. That's hero worship.
Yeah, that doesn't... See, when you see... That's one of my quotes.
Yeah.
It's not going to be remembered in time.
No. Louis C.K. uses carrots and sticks. The carrots are maybe if I hang around Louis another couple of months, he'll give me something. The stick is his penis.
I'm very proud of that joke because that joke came up like 4 hours before. Like I'm blind almost from not sleeping.
I was watching a feed of, I think it was from True TV, was doing a live.
Oh, wow.
Was live tweeting the speech. So it was interesting to see which jokes they picked along the way versus which are a lot different than this selection.
Right.
But that joke was in both.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that I was like, all of a sudden...
They erased some of the tweets because they were incendiary. Like they didn't want to leave up
I don't blame... You know, people...
Tweet.
I feel free to take it all down.
That's it, yeah, a bunch, and then it talks all about your Louis C.K. stuff. It's all too paragraphy to read, but you did...
Yeah.
A strong chunk on Louis C.K.
Yeah, I'm very happy about the whole thing because I felt like not even that I cared that it was two-sided, but I think it was just I don't know what my point was, but it was good to say.
Yeah. This is the Hannah Gadsby joke, which we were hoping would be an anchor joke. I'm a little mad that Hannah Gadsby stole my bit of quitting comedy during my set.
Well, that's you writing a joke about me that I didn't write,
right?
But could have written and would write.
That was me trying to write as you.
So great.
And that's how I try to do this. Is I try to look at it at how would Andy write the joke. You know?
But I do want to make the argument for the fact that we share the same sense of humor. It's like if we were just two comics hired guns, we wouldn't necessarily have the same sense, share a lot of the same sense of humor.
Right.
Like Joel Mattis, we come from a long line of
yes, absolutely. No, I couldn't do it if I didn't think you were funny.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, well, you wouldn't spend this much time with me.
Like it would be because the process is how would Andy make this funny?
Right.
That's how I'm trying to get to it.
And Gruber doesn't do it for the speech, but he does it for my whole life.
Right.
He comes up with examples
of you leaning in. Kindler joked that Hannah Gadsby's Nanette cribbed from his own bits where he abandons a joke or even his career mid-set. He also questioned why there would be any critical backlash to the special. Why is there blowback? Because comedians can't do their art history chunk now? She burned all your good Van Gogh premises? Did you do Van Gogh or Van Gogh?
I did Van Gogh only because I heard her say Van Gogh, and I've heard people say Van Gogh.
Or because there isn't enough comedy in the special. That didn't stop Netflix from giving Ricky Gervais $40 million to come up with horrible Caitlyn Jenner as a bad woman driver jokes. He added, with an additional jab at Gervais, all my favorite comics wear a headset and talk endlessly about hosting the Golden Globes.
I'm very proud of that whole run.
Yes, it was good, and it was last minute.
It was last minute
because I had the assist, but you had the score.
The fact that I was able to think of that, tying the Hannah Gadsby into his, I mean, maybe it should have been obvious, but I didn't think about how much I hate him, and then how it relates to the fact that he's doing these jokes about Caitlyn Jenner. Oh, it was so much fun. It was
because I had pitched a Chappelle joke.
Right, and then I said to you, but I kind of like, here's what's ironic about it. Right. And you just, it's something like, it's just, I'm like, but though something about the second, what was the joke? I forget.
It was something about, you're mad that she doesn't put enough comedy into her special. Something about maybe check out the 8th hour of Dave Chappelle's second special in a week.
Right. Now, Josh knows that I don't know if you did or not know that I love Dave Chappelle.
I love Dave Chappelle too.
And we both.
I didn't but I meant it more as a shot of his sort of free flowing.
Right. But the thing is, but the other thing was like you said.
But the headline would have then said, "Takes a shot at Louis C.K., Dave Chappelle," and you didn't want that.
Yeah, and I also said like, no, you also said. But do you really? I asked you about how you felt about Chappelle, and goes, no. You said you love Chappelle. You're just taking a shot.
Yeah.
So that's the other way to look at it. But the thing that was so funny at the end of it, using the Ricky Gervais example from the not a lot of comedy, was also that. God damn it!
No, but it was perfect that you brought in his Caitlyn Jenner bashing in the context of Nanette too. I thought.
Oh, Dave Chappelle was there.
Oh, was he?
That's what I was going to say.
Nice.
Dave Chappelle got an award, I think, or something, or he was giving someone an award. Yeah. So I saw him. I hadn't seen him in years. And then Susan said, and I would not have known this if Susan didn't see it.
Yeah.
He came in and saw the whole speech.
Wow, yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely wouldn't have wanted you to mention my name. I think I'm just kidding.
You could have ruined my career with the Chappelle joke.
I could have.
Sabotugee. What's that from?
It's a Three Stooges sabotage.
Sabotagey. This was Sabotugee. I think you're saying that you love the Stooges.
Oh, am I? No, I'm not, actually. So, and then the last joke they quote is, Netflix keeps making comedy specials shorter and shorter. I'm waiting for 90 people who each make a funny noise special.
You.
Me.
There's more of all your jokes. All over the internet. I think there's a few of mine.
You got, yeah, oh yeah.
I got a decent run, but
I don't think it was. We're both represented in the best of recollections,
right? But the thing about the whole thing too is like, I'm never going to be a comedian who is going to be Yeah, like they'll think of as like Bob Hope. Hey, one of his writers.
Yeah.
It's like it's a whole. I guess it's like.
Well, that's the other question. I mean, which do you prefer? Do you prefer having my jokes and sharing credit, or going more solo and having it be just your thing?
Oh no, I think I prefer. I mean,
I'm not saying that as an ultimatum. By the way.
No. I mean, I think there's a problem. It just happens to be that I'm in therapy, and I know that one of my problems is how I work with people and how I am with other people. And so I would always have wanted to like work through any problems anyway, or seen it as a challenge. But then the other thing is like I absolutely do. I'm amazed sometimes at these jokes that I'm saying that I didn't write work.
Yeah.
So it's also really good for me to give up. Even when I'm on auditions.
No, there's a leap of faith.
There's a leap of faith. Right.
If you're doing a joke that someone else wrote,
yeah,
and just go, no, trust me, it's a good joke.
Right.
It's a leap of faith because you aren't either. It's not coming from a place where you can default to the emotion that sparked the joke because it wasn't in you. Does that make sense?
And it's exactly right. And here's the thing: my therapist says, and then books say this too. If you have OCD or AD, I have OCD and ADD, one of the solutions is to find help, is to surrender areas that you're not very good at, which is organization.
Yeah.
Now, on a very simple level, they say, for example, like, you can't do my manager signs my contracts and stuff now more than they did before because it would take me I would agonize and take too long.
Yeah.
And so that's a simple example of it. But the idea of also when you're collaborating with somebody, my weakness has always been the big picture and the structure.
Right.
I sometimes don't see it when it's right in front of my face. So I like that part. I mean, I don't think the speech wouldn't have been as good, nearly as good if you hadn't worked on it. And so I would have gotten through both years, but I love it.
Cool.
Where are we now? Should we take a break or?
We probably should. We've bored ourselves.
I don't think we've bored ourselves. I've been very boring. You know what I'm bored of me overstating things. There's no
you
question.
You can say that again. So yeah, let's take a break, I guess.
Or should we just go right to the letters? What do you want to do?
No, I want to take a break.
Okay, you know what? Have it your way then. Let's make a fake fight. I don't want to take a break, but you know what? You're insisting on it. Let's do it. All right, asshole.
Do you want music for the break?
Yeah. I don't have anything to choose yet. You do.
It's time you start bringing something in because, I mean, granted, there's still, thanks to my wife, the bench is deep.
Right, but I just want people to know it's not like Josh has said, look, I still want to bring a few more things in before you bring something in. Oh, but can I do something before that I have been working on, which is an impression that I had you work on?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm starting to get good in this impression.
Okay.
And the word is, they look like dress pants. I'm going to say it without the accent.
Okay.
They look like dress pants, but they aren't. They're yoga pants.
Right.
Now, you ready? They look like dress pants, but they aren't. They're yoga pants.
It's
not bad, right?
You're somewhere in the Pacific.
Almost like a person
moving towards Australia.
They look. All right, now you tell me.
You're somewhere over Guam.
Let me hear out. Not a master, but someone who's considerably better than me.
I don't know. I might have psyched myself out. They look like pants.
They look like
dress pants, but they're not. But they aren't. They're yoga pants.
Yeah, because you're adding his drama to it. Okay, music time. I want something. Is there anything heartbreaking? I love heartbreaking now.
Do you want
But don't do that just because of me. But I don't know if I'm in the mood for everybody's gonna have fun at the bar.
All right, I'll do. Here we go. I'll do that. I'll do a blue. I'm using air quotes. A blues song.
That was disturbing.
This is a song that my friend Scott Pinkerton and I we wrote in about 10 minutes, I think, because he had just gotten a bunch of early Pro Tools gear that we needed to try out. And,
boy, you make it sound so romantic when you introduce the backstory.
And he was trying, yeah. So But this, so we just like, literally, I think we chose the key because it matched the only harmonica we had in the room.
Oh.
But I think this is a song I think I would write about you, even though I wrote it 25 years ago. If I was breaking up with you.
Me?
You.
Not a romantic thing?
No.
Okay.
This would be the song I would write to break up with you.
How do you change your mind so quickly? How can you turn on the dime? Though I've come to expect it, I get shocked every time. It's a long way to happy, you just don't have the time. How did you get wound so tightly? Is it some kind of disease? When I offer to help you, it's like I'm speaking Chinese. It's a long way to happy, so get off of your knees. There's a whole lot of roads there, but you're not in your car. There's a whole lot of ways there, but you can't get there from where you are. How do you look in the mirror? Do you like who you see? Well, if you wish you were different, I would tend to agree. It's a long way to happy, and you can't ride with me. It's a long way to happy, and you can't ride with me.
I love that song. I think that's my favorite song I've heard from your. Well, I mean, why do I have to make a list? I've enjoyed all of it. That song.
I'm good with you having favorites. I'm fine.
I love your. That's you singing?
Yeah.
I love your voice on there. It was like almost like a.
It's a long way to happy.
Yeah, and it's just really cool. And also, I do think it was about me.
It was like right.
But someone like me.
It was probably 1994.
Right, but you didn't write about. Can you make it clear to the people that
I did not write about?
You did not write about me. I think that was just outstanding.
Oh, thank you.
Who played guitar on that?
That was Scott Pinkerton.
He
played everything but the harp.
Okay, so he plays everything?
Yeah.
And he sounds like he's a genius musician.
He's a great musician, and he's not a musician anymore. He was only because of me that he started playing again, even, and it was only when it was with me that he did play.
Why? What's the story?
He had grown up playing. Like, he had started playing in like working bands when he was a teenager, and then he was a roadie for years for Little Feat and all these bands, and just got sick of it. And
how did he go?
And he hated. He worked with all these huge people, and so he always, like, unless there was some humor to it.
Right.
He didn't want to be a poser, you know?
Yeah.
And he had such a hair trigger for feeling like a poser because of the world he was in. But the truth was he was a fucking great guitar player. And then he and I produced Allison's album together.
I just think it's like, how do you stop all of that? I don't see any scenario.
That's how I got, I guilted him into playing more. And then we did a lot of big fun band things over the years.
Well, but he also was,
but it had to be, there had to be some irony component for him to enjoy.
But then he was going to be a sound thing, right? It was going to be a sound company.
Well, he and Thomas Chan, who's also my subsequent guitar player, jack of all trades partner.
Right.
They started a post-production house together.
Yeah, no, but then all of a sudden he
Audio post mostly.
He's like, who's that big guy? Mega 2 bits. Mega 2 bits. No, you know what I'm talking about.
No.
Yes, come on. He's like a big internet pirate type guy. Mega download, something like that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Let's pretend I know what you're talking about so you can continue.
I don't know if it was the weakness of my material or me constantly flailing it that made you...
so tell me about, before we go into these questions, tell me about the aftermath of the speech. Now, you said it was the best people had ever reacted to it?
Here's the thing. I would be lying. Everything I say is always guilty of hyperbole. So if I said something like it was the best ever that they responded to it, that's probably wrong.
Right.
But it was like, the way I felt about it was the year before I set myself up for failure by thinking I was cured because I discovered what my problems were and I was on medication.
Right.
So this felt like the first year of me doing anything in a way, except maybe stand up, but anything where I feel like I wasn't fighting myself.
Yeah.
It's like, and I think anybody can tell, like if I'm, when the self-deprecation thing goes too far, it's like more about an image of myself that stands aside from what the audience is.
Right. It's not reflecting reality.
Right. So
I thought, from my outside perspective, I thought you showed a lot more mastery this year than last year.
Wow.
Like it felt like you had, it's sort of, the last 15 minutes got scattered, I would say.
Yeah.
It lost focus. I think it was a 50-minute speech that you made an hour.
Yeah.
But I think
page 9. I could have done without page 9.
But I think, in general, you kept the momentum moving in a direction, and you, like I said, you gave the jokes a real shot.
Well, and also I'm very excited because the thing is, like, the ironic thing is that they go, well, it's the last year of the speech, but I like the collaboration because it's almost like at some point I think maybe I would have died from not boredom, but just died from something.
Right.
So this actually means, like, I feel like I like the collaboration of it because I'm not saying that it had to, we should have been a comedy duo from the beginning, but the point is that I was in a comedy duo, but the point is that it gives the speech more power to me.
Yeah.
That's what I think, because, it's almost like you're standing outside of it, and then sometimes I can stand outside of it.
Right.
So not only am you getting a gift basket in the morning. What do you like? Do you like edible fruit? No, edible flowers?
Yeah, give me one of those.
Only I would confuse edible fruit.
I do like edible fruit. It's my favorite kind of fruit. Now,
what's your thing with fruit? Like, if you're eating fruit, do you like to, and then you find out it's wax? Or do you like real fruit?
I like the edible kind.
Oh, my God.
I like to know going in. All right, let's look at some questions because, boy, this is taking a long time tonight.
I know. I do. I'd like to take responsibility for it.
No need.
I'm not high, though.
I know.
But it does seem like I'm high, though, doesn't it?
It doesn't, no. You seem a little tired, but you don't seem high.
You
don't seem tired.
Like me when I'm trying to... Well, you know what, Lisa, is not happening tonight? You're not doing that mocking me voice.
You're not doing that mocking me voice.
All right, we're back on track.
That's how you know.
Mark Thompson
we could be good bridge players.
Yes. Mark Thompson, have either of you ever done comedy on a cruise ship or at an amusement park?
Neither.
I've never done a cruise ship gig. I did the Minnesota State Fair a couple times. That is
an amusement park.
Pretty damn close to an amusement park.
I've done outdoor events, but like at colleges or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I've done outdoor events but not just a couple, and they've always been bad.
Yeah. I think I could actually, because I have so much, even though it's on the edgier, darker side of the spectrum, because I have a lot of sort of marriage, that kind of material now, I could probably pull off a cruise ship. I wouldn't enjoy it at all and don't want to.
Do you like cruises?
No.
I hate them. I hate being cooped up.
I hate any kind of organized fun.
I also don't like the fact that you're depending on these other people to keep you alive the entire time.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I just don't like being told what to do and where to go and when.
Right.
I hate that. There's no way that can be fun for me.
And if things go wrong, I know these are not the kind of people who are going to bond together and make it better.
Right.
These
Form
are
a human raft for Andy.
But my big fear is when they ask me to do a second show on the cruise ship because it's stuck out there.
All right, exactly. Then you start giving me credit. Randy Denton, pod person. Hello, Andy and Josh. Has either of you seen a new movie this year that you really enjoyed? Thanks. Boy.
I saw 3 Identical Strangers.
How was it?
It was great. That's that movie about the
triplets that were broken up for medical research.
That was, I think, the only movie I've seen this year. Maybe.
Yeah.
And it was great. I saw a movie on the plane.
What'd you see?
I thought it was good. And maybe because I was on the plane, it's called Love is Strange.
Yeah.
And John Lithgow is not my favorite, but I like him when he's doing regular things. It was John Lithgow and Alfred Molina as like 2 old lovers who got married, and it's all very small movie. Yeah. Marissa Tomei, and I really liked it.
All good people.
Did you come up with anything?
I didn't really. I liked. I can't think of what I saw a couple of big tentpole movies in the theater, but I didn't care that much. I didn't see that, but I saw The Avengers and I saw
Black Panther.
And
how was Black Panther?
Black Panther was good.
Yeah, I it's like, these adventure movies. I've got to make a plan.
You got a big TV. They work there too for me.
What do you mean? Oh, I see. That's right.
It doesn't really matter when you see them.
I got a 4K TV, and you told me not to do it. That's another story.
And how is are you just dripping in 4K content?
You know what, Josh? Something. That's my new version. You ready? Of the going to sleep. Josh, something. This is what I heard behind me the whole speech. And you couldn't hear it at home, could you?
No.
Between the popping.
Between the crickets and the popping.
I wish I got crickets some nights.
Andrew Dempsey says, love the speech, Andy. Well done, lad. I'm not going to say what jokes I like best because, it was interesting to hear SOTI material afterwards in the live show, which aired this week. Our live.
Oh, yeah, that's what came out today.
Yes. A great week all around. If only CK had happened last week, you would have blown up.
How would I? Oh, that's a good point. In fact, I had to not convince Josh, but Josh had the feeling that I had done all that material.
Yeah, I thought you had.
Yeah, and so I thought because it was last November.
Right.
So, but if I didn't get, say I
remember because it's right before my movie with him in it came out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. I remember that, but. Look, it was a horrible thing what he did, but it's giving me, they always say, it gives you material.
Exactly. It's the end of the world as we know it. Says, hi guys, I really enjoyed that intro tune a fan wrote for you. Is that just going to be a one-time deal, or are you working out a deal to use it every week?
What is this?
The theme song, The Thought Spiral, is going to go viral, that song.
Was that last week we heard it?
A couple weeks ago.
I can't make any commitments because you're the person in charge of sound design.
Yeah. It was a one-time thing. I mean, we might revisit it sometimes, but it's not going to become the official theme song because I don't really want an official theme song.
I don't either.
Even really good official theme songs become something that you want to skip through if you're listening to something every week.
Hey, fella, you got a thought? Does that thought wanna spiral? Hey, fellers, it's another week of the Thought Spiral Show. And here's your host, Josh.
Fully committed.
Will you cut that out?
No. Why in the world?
Because of how flat it was?
No, I mean, it was horrendous to listen to, but it was...
Was it worse than the chalk on a chalk on a blackboard while you're getting waterboarded? We're not laughing at waterboarding, believe me.
That's the lesser punishment, is they chalkboard you.
I've been chalkboarded.
That doesn't work. They go to the waterboard.
You know, I really feel like the chalk sound is unforgivable.
Yeah.
And that didn't even hurt as bad as it does.
Me.
See?
Hurt me.
See what happens when you try and be funny all the time?
That's right. W. Hoove J. Great first run. I think she's talking about the live show.
Hey, so what did you think? I'm sorry.
However, talking about doing awful, empty chairs, firmly cements the negativity for your listeners. Next live show, get loose, have fun, and no apologies. You are very funny, J. Elvis Weinstein. Keep going for it. Now, I just wrote today on Twitter that there is nothing more depressing than a pep talk.
It is.
And I feel the same way from this tweet right here.
Well, yes, because it's like all the things that you're saying are things that are literally what's blocking you is not the answer to what's blocking you.
All right.
Like, hey, you know what? We should be loose. Hey, you know what? You should be. But I will say this. I know that I'm negative, but I was going to ask you, and I was rudely interrupted you. What did you think? Did you hear back? Oh, you edited it. So what did you think?
Of the live show?
Yeah.
It was exactly what I remembered happening that night. It was, I think it was fun. I think it was interesting, hopefully, to hear us working out these jokes in the early phase, especially if you pair it with the actual speech. I thought there was the Andy filibuster that we talked about a little bit.
Yes.
I think in our last show we were together, we talked about it, but I think we'll get better at it as we go. I think it's worth doing. I think we should keep trying to do live shows.
Everything I've learned.
And I think it was totally worth it for the process of the speech.
Yes, it was worth it for the process of the speech. It's like everything where, you know, I kind of work on things sometimes like they were the Manhattan Project.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's another problem. It's like, the big speech is coming up in 5 months. 3 months to the big speech. Why don't you make a note? Like, I know I'm going to be better next year just because I'm going to make one of my file of notes jokes for that speech. Because I don't want to go back and read every single thing I've written.
Right.
You say forget that, though, right?
Well, I think it's, yeah.
Yeah, you don't think it's any help in me. You think you're disappointed in me.
No, I think no matter what, it's going to come down to a month before the speech.
Okay, here's the thing.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I
think a month is long enough to write that speech, but
right.
You have to.
But for a normal person.
But I think it went well this year.
I'm thrilled.
Honest to God, in terms of like actually accumulating jokes, we did good.
Right.
You know,
right.
It wasn't like we had writer's block, or it wasn't like, you know, there wasn't the process, you know, that final organizational thing is where you fell down, but you had enough material, you know, and that's 95% of it, you know.
I also think it's pretty impressive, and I don't want this to become a positivity podcast, but I think it's pretty impressive that we both, like, you know how you work on a show, whatever the show is, and like say the host of the show is like, they get into that mode. I've only been on a couple of these things, but they get in that mode with everything they look at. On Comic Strip Live, it was classic, where producers would get in this mode that everything they look at, they would just decide wasn't going to be good.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, the thing is that we were both working on something that we both wanted to work on. So there was, even if there were problems, it didn't get into that thing like you could get on staff, or like, you know, when Hugh Fink said on Saturday Night Live, they all root against your bits,
right?
You know, so that, I think that's what's also kind of interesting about it, because I need to learn, like when you came to save Bitter,
yeah,
that video,
right.
I am very excited about the idea of collaboration. Maybe I'm just referring to the podcast. I just think we should be rich, wealthy. We should be doing more TED Talks. We should be, there should be something rolling in, and I think it's money.
Money would be good. People would be good.
Right.
One would beget the other, either way.
Right. If you throw a thing in the thing, no one's around. Is it a thing, really?
Start promoting the podcast more. There's no way around it.
Yeah, that's true.
Whenever we do promote it, just in some larger format, we get more people.
Right. There's a thing about this thing. I mean, I know it's going to be the biggest thing in the world. I think it's going to be as big as Jay-Z's podcast. What's the biggest podcast in the world? We're going to be there, baby. It's all about numbers.
Yeah, we're still a niche. No matter what, we're going to be a niche.
Well, one thing that'd be interesting for people to check out is that there was this comic. I don't know the whole story behind it, but with this YouTube comic who kind of shot himself in the foot at the festival.
Yeah, I saw
and it's amazing to see. It really is, and I know a lot of people who he was like picking on, and they're all wonderful people. So he was like, he had quite an agenda.
Yeah, I saw some of that.
Now, I don't want to say that all of these, I don't want to ever be the person who says all of these YouTube people, they're not like as cool, or they're not really working because they're just doing this. But we could say a big percentage of it could be true. No, right? Maybe this is a higher percentage of creative. Why would I say something that awful? There could be as many creative two Stoobs content makers as there could be anything, right?
Yeah, the big mistake is when people think that talking to a camera with no audience is the same as talking to an audience.
That's true. So I think it attracts people who are annoying,
right?
And that you have to sift through a lot of the grist to get the mill.
Well, yeah, I mean the comments aren't laughs.
True.
And hearts aren't laughs.
It is. That's actually very frustrating. That's where LOL originally came from. They were like, "Wow."
Right. I have to actually point out that you made me actually.
Yeah.
But with Twitter, my whole approach going in early on, at least, it's changed a little bit now. But it used to be a like is a chuckle, a retweet is a laugh.
Yeah, but it also could be a like is something somewhat interesting.
No, absolutely. No, it was misguided. Kathy McCarty says, I just want to comment that just as with Andy's stage act, I laugh the hardest at Thought Spiral when you guys think you are bombing horribly and making a ruined podcast. Therefore, never overthink it.
That's advice that is not taken like the other guy who said, look, fellas.
That's the opposite.
Anybody can that is very good advice. Don't overthink it is always good advice.
Like this week, this is not a funny show we've done so far. There's content, but it's not funny.
Why don't you just punch me in the face? I thought these were hilarious stories. I think just recounting my jokes is the funniest thing of the summer.
Badger Blast says, can you get some Adderall for Andy just to see what he's like on it for the next show? Should we tell him?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah,
maybe we should get some Adderall.
That'd be interesting to see what Andy on Adderall is like.
Oh, okay. He's joking, right?
No, I think he really thinks.
I'm on Adderall. Yeah. I take Adderall as a prescription. I take Adderall and I take Prozac. And they work together for me.
They do.
Yeah.
They're a powerful combination.
And I also like uppers, downers. You know what I didn't like? White Crosses.
What is that?
They were cheap speed back in the day.
I was never.
You never were.
I was never a pill guy. No.
Huh? Basically, what I hear when you say that?
Yeah.
I hear I'm better than you, Andy.
No, you're older than me.
I did find a friend of mine who told me
you lived through the golden age of available drugs.
That's true. That's true. It's more. It's a jungle out there now.
By the time
drugs.
I was of coke age, everyone was ducking away privately into bathrooms. They weren't putting out lines.
Cocaine got so depressing.
They weren't putting out rails for the gang anymore.
You did try.
No, I never did.
Oh,
I did a numbie once. I touched.
That's always been overrated.
But
who wants the feeling that
there was just no? There was a couple of really good overly mature decisions I made in my life, and that was one of them.
Well, heroin.
I was like, at 17, being offered coke, going, you know what? At 17, you're a fat smoker. You've established addictive personality. You don't need fucking coke in your life.
Oh, God. Well, I'm not going to respond to the fat thing because I don't think I always say don't put, you have to love yourself. But
well, I didn't then.
But I'll tell you one thing though, you certainly knew what kind of personality you had.
Yeah.
And that if you like the smoking, you might like the cocaine too much.
That's what I figured.
Yes.
I did not do it because I thought I wouldn't like it.
I'll tell everybody out there the God's honest truth. And if you're under 18, please turn your phone down. I think a lot of people can do cocaine every once in a while and all that kind of thing. But I found it to be a depressing, like that first bump where you feel good. I never could recapture that first bump. Right. So I think it's very metabolism based, you know?
Well, I think that's true of everybody who does coke. They're always chasing something.
I guess so. I had a friend who used to say she could do like a hit of coke and go work out, and then she didn't want any more.
Yeah.
So I just think it's one of those things, but it was undersold how dangerous it could be because they didn't know, I guess.
Right. Tommy Barcanero says, Andy, great job with the State of the Industry address, as always. Now that we know your thoughts on Emily Nussbaum, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on New York Times comedy critic Jason Zinnemann. Also, have you read Zinnemann's biography of Letterman?
I like Jason Zinnemann. He's written an article about me once that I really liked. I think I enjoy his stuff. I think he writes thoughtfully about comedy. Now, he wrote something recently where they kind of described the article, not how as he was talking about. He wasn't saying comedy's dead, and so it's like sometimes like he got accused. And some people were saying, "Oh,
was that the guy who quoted my joke?"
No, that's the
Netflix joke. Well, there was one that just The Economist. The Economist last night. I'm talking, but the New York Times did it.
No, he's not that. I don't think he is. And I didn't even read that article. How was that article?
What, the Economist one?
No, the Netflix one. I don't know. I'm very confused right now.
Right.
But
because I made it about me.
No, I just got confused. But
Jason Zinnemann is.
Oh yeah. No. Anyway, I like him, and I have not read the. I'm glad you brought it back up. I have not read the Letterman thing yet, but I do want to read it. But he really kind of, I think, has, from what the body of his work, I think he's a well-informed, good-intentioned comedy critic. And it's like where Emily Nussbaum could say something. If he said somebody was the best stand-up comic in the country, he would be basing it on. He does know that. He knows his actual. It doesn't mean he's right, but his opinion based on knowledge.
Right.
Good night, everybody.
Tom Harding says, "What's better, to receive criticism or to be ignored? My poetry book has been on Amazon for 6 months and has only 1 review. But then again, I worry if I started getting lots of reviews, they might be negative. Can't decide what's worse." Well, first of all, everyone go to Amazon and buy Tom Harding's poetry book.
That'd be good.
I think being ignored is way worse.
Then what's the other alternative?
Receiving criticism. Well,
the thing about it is, here's the thing. And you know that from being in the poetry racket for years. The poetry, making a living from poetry is hard.
I don't think he's asking about poetry. He's asking about which is better in general. In your life, would you prefer to receive criticism or to be ignored?
I think they're both bad. But you think being ignored is worse?
Yeah.
Well, how ignored? Like I'm in the diner and I keep saying, "Can I please get a cup of coffee? Can I please?"
He gave an example right here in the question. He has a poetry book on Amazon that only has 1 review.
Okay, but all I was making the observation is that if you're a poet, you've already picked a thing that almost everybody has ignored. Most people don't read poetry. So I think it's the context that matters. All I'm addressing is he getting sad because he sees his poetry book isn't getting comments? And I say, keep writing poems and don't worry about it. But that's easy for me to say about someone who's a poet. I could fall to the same
But I
trap.
think his point is that he's in a be careful what you wish for scenario.
Right.
which is he wants to have more reviews, but he's afraid what would happen if he got a bad one.
Right. And I guess the way I heard it was like, that's in the past, this thing on Amazon. Not that the book of poetry is in the past.
Right.
But there's so many factors to why even, let's say, where do people like poetry go to read poetry? They probably don't go to Amazon. Like Amazon is not the center. They have like this good reads.
Right.
And so it's just like a thing where if he took anything, he's not being ignored is, I guess, my argument. It's irrelevant to being ignored, but I think people are very hard on themselves. I thought, like, I would go back to, no one's made a comment on my poetry. Am I a good poet? And that's where I went wrong in my life. And that's the only lesson I can, but he's not asking for a lesson. So we'll go with your answer. It's worse to be ignored. Thank you.
And I think the other obvious answer to this question is it really depends on how well you take criticism.
Right.
If someone taking a shot at you is going to ruin your day, then ignoring is better.
Well, especially
for me, I don't take praise very well.
Right.
So, like someone praising me online makes me feel good for a second.
Yes.
Someone taking a shot at me makes me feel bad for 5 seconds.
Right.
But they both pass through.
True. Yeah.
And I wish that the compliments made me feel better, and the shots at me made me feel less bad. But neither of them are extreme. Because the internet has conditioned me that people are going to take mean ass shots.
Right. So you're expecting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was going to say that.
The thing the only trap I fall into is trying to compose a response when the only response is no response.
Right. But like one thing was like when criticism is useful, and this is what I think is like. So we work more on things and we trust each other than like if you say that's a desk piece, and if I'm too tied into your opinion of me, and I go, well, some desk piece works sometimes. I mean, it's like, but if the insight is a desk piece and I actually get something from that, which is what we get from like don't read variety reviews during the speech, right, then it is like the right kind of criticism.
Right.
So and like so many times, when you'll criticize something between us, it's because something is truly bothering you, and I'm not seeing it usually.
Right.
So, but that relationship can't happen on most forums online.
No.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was, as much as I said that things affect me very little, very small amounts, those kind of things, I still seek them out voraciously.
Yeah.
I still want feedback. I still really strongly crave feedback and check for it. But once I get it, it doesn't hurt me or puff me up. It's a weird. Well, it's a weird thing. It's it's like it's a dopamine hit that I'm going for that doesn't really come like a dopamine hit.
Right, because that's a little bit. I mean, that's a little bit of Buddhist type of philosophy where you try to. You don't say to yourself, I don't want the highs.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm not someone who doesn't want to be complimented. It's like you're trying to lie. Like that, I could say that to myself. Oh, it was like, or Louis C.K. when he used to act fake, modest.
Right.
So it's like.
No, I want it. I want fucking attention. I really do. And
right. But then.
I don't like that about myself, but it's something that I have to give into because it's, I can moderate. What's changed is the amount of attention I need over time, but I can't deny that I need it.
I think it's a mischaracter. I mean, that not characterization, but that's not how I feel about it. I should say.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the desire to want other people's reaction, and if you took it all the way down to the bottom and said, I don't want to be alone in the world. I mean, that the world is about relating and with others.
Right.
I could agree with that, but that wouldn't mean that you need it. Like you need someone to go, you're the best, Josh. You're the best.
No, but
because you do know you have a decent self-esteem.
I have a decent self-esteem, and
right.
I've sort of gotten to the point where it's like once a month.
Yeah.
If I go a month without an audience telling me I'm special in some way, then I start to get edgy. I start to I start to lose. some of my sense of self or of my self-esteem, I guess. But I don't need it every night. I don't even crave it every night. But I know that if I eliminate it, I'm choking off a need of mine.
Right. But the other thing is that you're also, it's not even like, we have agreed that when someone laughs, like they're saying nice job, and you should be able to feel good from that,
Right.
But
I want it to be, I'm going back to even what we talked about earlier and the whole credit thing, where it's like I wanted, my image of my ideal image of myself is love of the game. Like, I should be satisfied just that I wrote you these jokes. They worked. You liked them.
Right.
And the exercise was a success. Like, that's what I wish.
But I think
that's what I wish was me.
Yeah, but I think it is more than that. I think it is more than that.
But then when I feel my reaction afterwards and go, nope, that's not enough. I have to acknowledge it, or it's just lying,
Right. And I think the thing is like, I have never had anybody offer to collaborate on the speech. Like, it's almost like, let's say...
No, it'd be really presumptuous of them.
No, but it wasn't presumptuous of you two, because it was like, we're doing... I mean, maybe it's because we started doing the podcast together and all that, and I moved closer to you. Whatever the thing is,
right.
Is that it created an opportunity where a collaboration started to happen. And so to me, it's like, it is a collaboration. You know what I mean?
Well, to me, that to me is the highest aspiration for friendships.
Right. I think that's what you're motivated by.
Is like, to me, the best thing that can happen to a friendship is it develops into some sort of artistic collaboration.
And it's the hardest thing, one of the hardest things to happen sometimes.
Absolutely. But it's, with all of my close friends, that's an element of our friendship.
Right.
And I like that a lot. You know? And then there's even a couple of friends who we keep trying and aborting projects just because we know that we should be working together on something. We just haven't found the thing, so, but I like that about my life. I like those are the kind of friends I have, that makes life interesting and fun to me. Yeah.
And I think the point is, the thing that I like about it is that even though it was whatever the resolution was, I like that I'm becoming conscious of most of my pain is from not confronting things or not realizing things, and then kind of living in like this thing where you don't really know what you're doing. You're just kind of stumbling around.
Right.
I like to be aware of my life. I like to, and so it's like, to me, I would, it's like, there are some people who say, I don't want anybody, you're writing for Bob Hope, or whatever the thing would be. Even in sitcoms, or even in Louis C.K.'s show, where he insists upon, that it's all him.
Right.
And what I'm saying is like, who knows why this happened, but I've been amazed that the words could be interchangeable, except you probably, what I'm saying? You probably write better jokes, but I'm saying it's interchangeable.
Right.
I have never experienced that on anything.
That someone else could write for you.
But even it's like, I'm not comparing. It's a unique experience in my whole life.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like I've ever been a comic before. Well, the last time I was a comic, I wrote all my own stuff.
Right.
It's like, this is, I've always been open to other comics giving feedback and stuff like that. I love feedback, but most comics don't. I think most people don't give each other feedback. Well, no, I would say all the comics I'm friendly with. If I work with a comic for a week, you usually do, and you're friendly with them and you like them.
Yeah,
there is that a little bit, Yeah,
absolutely.
But I don't know. I'm excited about it. I still would like to make money, like some money or something.
Speaking of which, you still owe me for that.
I know I do. I know. Should I just give you $80?
Sure.
Yeah, because it's really bothering me. It was $135. So but I'm going to give you a tip.
No, you can give me $65.
No, I'm not. No, really? It was only 130.
He said it was 135. So
it's so sad. It's sad.
Why are we doing this out loud? Is what's really.
Well, no, it's sad. Every part of this is sad. Here, okay, that's good.
Thank you.
That's really what it should be.
That's what it is. All right.
But why am I giving? Look, I don't want people to think we always make $135. Don't get spoiled by that.
I'm just saying, if we made more than the standard $15 that the Improv usually pays,
there's a lot of money in our future.
I want it.
There's more money in our future. I really do think so. People, it's like we didn't use this podcast to get ourselves richer. We wanted to see if it was something that works. Now it's time to cash in. Bazinga! Cha-chong! And you know how we're going to do it?
How's that?
Have you heard about Trump's idea for a wall?
No, I haven't.
Trump's idea for a wall?
Yeah.
Think about it. Chris Hardwick has a show called The Wall.
Yeah.
I want our show to have a paywall. And if you don't think that Perush, that son of a bitch, won't pay up after he can't...
How dare you? How dare you even kid about Perush being a son of a bitch?
I don't care if Yoshi Yamamoto stands outside my window with I don't know whether you'd stand outside there with a sign, unfair to local 12 villain thieves and scoundrels union.
Right. Okay, Tweet Bahara has a trifecta of tweets here. Melania Trump to Stormy Daniels. Stormy, I have to, but you? Hashtag the classics. Laotian grandmother to cave rescue diver who is holding her grandson. He had a hat. Hashtag the classics.
That's so good.
And then finally he has a question. Guys, whatever happened to Barry Sobel, who I mentioned, I think, at the live
I think he's
show?
around.
He had a certain Kindler-esque quality that I really enjoyed.
Well, he had a quality that maybe I always loved his stuff, so he was first. Maybe I didn't take it, but I was influenced by him.
Same school.
Yeah. I think
you're both sons of Richard Lewis, though.
That's true. It's true. I like to be described as a son of Richard Lewis.
I think you're a son of Richard Lewis and Rickles.
I like that.
I think that's about where you're at.
That's cool. But now how come we can't describe our own podcast?
Good point.
It's like Will.
Because I have no personality.
How about this? It's like the remakes of Will and Grace. You don't really know what you're watching,
right? Or when the old one stopped.
Or when the old one stopped.
Jimmy Calloway says the live episode is very good. I missed it due to the car troubles, but will you guys be doing another one in town again? Apologies if this has been asked already. I hope we will.
There's no doubt that we should
do it in a
again.
bunch of towns.
Yeah,
but we'll hopefully. I think the Improv Lab will have us back.
I don't think
not soon.
No, I don't think.
Maybe Dynasty Typewriter.
I think it's kind of a. I think Dynasty Typewriter. I like the Improv Lab that it's really a small room, which I think is good for the.
Yeah.
I don't want to do a stage show of a Prairie Home Companion like you do.
Well, you crushed my dream. Fine.
Guy Noir.
It was a weird week here. He came to your show, Garrison
I know. I
Keillor.
met him. I spoke to him. His Erica Rhodes, who's hilarious, and a shout out to Erica Rhodes.
She middled for you, right?
She middled for me. Her aunt is married to Garrison Keillor, and so he came out to the show, and he enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed your show, Andy.
I think he wrote about it on Instagram or something.
I really enjoyed my show with the Semitic Andy Kindler.
Al Gruber used to do him as because I guess he was one of the voices on the Civil War. And the men with the tasty cakes. The men like the tasty cakes.
But you, did you not do your Garrison Keillor shit this time?
Of course I did. I'm not stupid. First of all, it's old.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I just want to tell you, I remembered and this is maybe not to be talked about now, but we'll talk about it in a future thing. I remembered a joke that I blocked out, and I would like to talk about it in a future episode. The joke is, I lost a lot of family in the camps.
Yeah.
Summer camps. It was a canoeing accident, right? But still, every time I can't watch the movie Meatballs all the way through, okay? That was the joke. Now, When we do talk about it in the future, I don't want to talk about it where it ends up you criticizing 1992 Andy. I'm not defending it as the greatest joke.
Okay.
But I just think it's interesting that I kind of blocked it out. And
what do you mean you blocked it out?
Because
you forgot that you did it in 1992?
I forgot that I did that joke completely.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. 25 years later.
No, but it isn't. But it is one of those jokes. Like, is it gratuitous? Is it? So what I want to talk about was not. What I decided, and maybe it's over now. What I wanted to say was that I had decided that it was based on my own fears and my own concerns of, in a way, wanting to have a Holocaust survivor as a parent. In a way, I mean, it's like I can't explain it, but like wanting people to feel sorry for me more. So that it's kind of dealing with that type of subject, but the joke is not as good as the concept. Maybe.
No, that joke does not sell all that subtext that you're trying to pack
summer
into
camps.
It. Yeah.
No, it only was kind of a cheap joke.
Yeah, that's all it is. But if you want to talk about the other stuff, that's there might be some stuff there.
You know, I already told you, I don't want you to be trashing 1992 Andy, and that's what you're doing. No, I'm kidding.
Chris Mutter says, have you considered hiring an animator to make a state of the cartoon industry?
I don't know, but that, you know, that's, as soon as he says that, I just thought of that State of the Cartoonian with Jake Tapper.
That's what he was making fun of.
I know, but Jake Tapper was going nuts.
You got a big Jake Tapper fight today, I thought.
It's not even me, half of America. He's putting down, he goes, the Democratic Party's at the lowest points since the 1920s. And then he makes a thing with
like a shrug emoji.
Yeah, well, how do you do these?
I don't know.
What are they called? You use like punctuation.
Emoticons.
It's some kind of stupid emoticon of shrugging, and then the articles about how Obama was at dancing at a Beyonce concert with Michelle. Are you fucking? Come on, the guy's nuts. What is he talking about? He shouldn't have a summer. Shouldn't have a nice summer. I don't even want to get involved with it. You know what? He's not worth it.
Seth Dick III, who wrote the very funny and dark Anthony Bourdain joke from your SOI speech?
Josh, Elvis, Weinstein.
Why, yes,
in fact,
was.
I even had trouble delivering that joke because it's a little bit mean.
It's a harsh joke.
It's a harsh joke, but it really is good.
It did really well.
I get it. Life's not worth living. Stop playing the Anthony Bourdain. I get it. We get it. Life's not worth living.
Yeah, I was really happy that you did that joke, actually. I didn't know if that registered when I sent it to you. Also, Seth Dick III, do you think your live shows are fundamentally different from the ones at Josh's house? Yes, of course they are.
Yeah, I mean, there's no... Anytime we introduce... We knew
Andy
that...
talks to me here.
Yeah, we realized that the first time we tried to have Alex Brazell sitting on a show, I can't have any kind of... if there's going to be anybody else... If someone got stuck in this house during the podcast because their car broke down, I'd play to them.
Yes. So, but we're going to work on that. I'm going to work on you.
Well, I don't
as
think
we do live shows.
No, I'm not. I'm never going to unlearn that lesson, but I might not figure out the other lesson that I'll unlearn.
Right. Who?
It's easy to remember to listen. It's hard to do it.
Right. Rick says, hi, fellas. Hey, Andy, I'm going to your Philly show next week, which by the time Test Show 65 airs will have already happened. Any message for your past self?
Hey, it was great meeting you. What's his name?
Rick.
Rick, come up and say hi. Because but he's not going to hear this now. Right?
Right. Well, he'll hear it next week, but he won't.
But I'll be done.
He won't have known.
This is my new voice, by the way, Josh.
It's good.
I'm very nervous about it.
Shiftless Element. Any concerns a conservative majority SCOTUS could overturn current regulations that require classic rock radio stations to participate in the federally mandated 2 for Tuesday program?
That's an excellent joke.
I'm worried. Unless they provide exemptions for Double Shot Thursday.
Well, as long as they never eliminate back-to-back classics.
Kenny Loggins, Twa, in the realm of Show 63's dissection of the Hindenburg disaster, you two should do a show called Comedians in a House Discussing Disasters. We did. We just talked about his speech the whole
Oh, that's not nice, Josh. That's not nice. Josh. I hate everybody.
Straight.
You know what that is?
That's Norman.
I think so, but that's not the sound probably. But you got it from the stabbing motion.
I did get the stabbing motion. Yeah.
They look like dress pants, but they aren't.
They look like dress pants, but they aren't. They're yoga pants.
That's it, baby.
Michelle Wisecarver. Excellent live show, gents. I guffawed through the whole thing. Gonna try to make it to the next one in person. Why should Parush and Yoshi have all the fun?
Absolutely. Those
also,
guys.
Any chance you'll have black Thought Spiral shirts for sale soon? Please? Oddly enough, I was actually working on that today.
I think that would be good. I think,
in fact, check Zazzle.com/thought_spiral when this airs, and there might be a black shirt there.
You know what I don't like, Josh?
I'm on the trail.
I told you this months ago. When you make up these fake letters, emails from fake people, I know Michelle wouldn't have asked that. I know Michelle. And Michelle told me she wouldn't wear any one of our shirts. And now you have to bring that in as a
Yoshi Yamamoto. Love the JFL SOTI, but this year's recording makes it sound like Andy is bombing the whole time, as opposed to the Yamamoto cackle littering the lab show. By the way, can we get a Hence the Humor update? Please don't make it a posthumous album.
That's cruel. I don't plan on dying, and Hence the Humor will be out for Christmas.
Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome news. You heard it here first.
And what was the other complaint? Oh, yeah. And if I don't resolve that sound next year, I don't deserve to do comedy.
It's true. And your manager doesn't deserve to be a manager.
Let's yell at Bruce.
You should. Come on. It's year 23.
Hey, Cha-Cha, it's year 23.
Do you think maybe you'll get your shit together for the platinum anniversary?
Hey, Choo-Choo.
Greg Kelly says, I'm going to Kansas City next week. Being renowned international travelers, you must have some recommendations. Go ahead and lay some on me. Or perhaps Foster Brooks has been there. Well, I know he's been there. And Foster Brooks enjoyed the grilled meats. I haven't been to Kansas City in 25 years. I used to go there a lot. Obviously, barbecue and meat is the thing there. Great steaks and great barbecue. The Gates barbecue and Arthur Bryant's are kind of two legendary places.
I've been there once, and I did have something along those lines. Actually, I was in Overland Park. Does that count? No.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's a suburb of Kansas City.
I like barbecue. I like when cities have initials like KC. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like makes me sick that I live in
L.A.
All I'm saying is sometimes it's good when someone else reminds you that there is no joke.
And speaking of there being no joke, I think we're almost done here.
It's unbelievable. This show is like 4 hours long.
It's about 4 hours long.
I think this was the most important show we've ever done. I'll tell you why, Josh.
What's that?
Because what's up? Did you just come up with that? What's up? First of all, I'm very, I'm going to faint from, I think, being tired, thinking about myself and all, and how horrible it must be to be around me. And what was I going to? How was that going to help close? Anyway, no. I want to say that I enjoyed this whole thing. I think that this was You're right. There's been funnier I've been funnier, but remember, sometimes I've been funnier at the expense of being like
coherent. If you want to talk to us during the week, write us at thoughtspiralshow@gmail.com. If you want to help us out, go to iTunes and review and rate us.
I also want to apologize for not answering. As it got close to the speech, I didn't look at any of the letters, and I know I'm bad with letters to begin with, but now that the speech is over.
I sent you a bunch today, but I had held off the last week and a half sending you and forwarding any email to you.
I will look today. And I will be a better person. I'll be a better person. Because you know what? There's no I in thought spiral. There's no I in thought of the thought spiral.
So, I forgot to tell you, I was I was in a really shitty mood this morning. And then I went online and I bought really expensive tickets to go see David Byrne. And
wow.
It completely changed my mood. So now the concert's gravy.
Well, that's great. Is he with the, is he just, what does he sound like? We don't know.
I saw a couple clips online. It's a very cool show. I'm very excited.
Cool.
At the Shrine.
We got an Eno feel?
No, we got a David Byrne feel.
All right, beautiful.
Talking Head, doing a lot of Talking Heads.
I love you now. You know, you don't have to tell me. I love Talking Heads.
I don't have to tell you. You love Talking Heads. You know already.
I don't know why it's so important for me to have people acknowledge.
So thanks for listening, Andy. Congratulations on getting through your speech. I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you.
I thought you did a great job.
You wrote the greatest jokes.
Thank you very much. I was proud to be a part of it. I'm sorry if I guilted you.
No, I deserve the guilt.
But I thought you did a really good job. I was proud hearing it. I was glad to see people.
The comments
I was felling at people's enthusiasm.
I never had so many comments about it that were like positive. In other words, like I just feel like it's a well-oiled machine, which I'm sure means they'll cancel it.
Of course.
Until next time, remember, let your spirals be thoughtless.
Ponder that.